Henley Royal Regatta, the Wimbledon of rowing. But how do you get here? Well, by car, very slowly. Or if you win the lottery, you could drop in by helicopter and spend the day in one of these wonderful enclosures. Or you could qualify for the regatta itself. But how? Well, that's why we're here. In this programme, we aim to give you the inside track on how to become a faster, fitter, stronger and technically more proficient rower.
Rowing fast is about the 5 S's: strength, stamina, suppleness, speed, and most importantly, skill. We begin by breaking the rowing stroke down into fine detail, before showing you how to assess and monitor your own ability. Next, we look at a number of drills and training exercises that will improve every aspect of your stroke. We have a section on the importance of the cocks, and it's then down to the sweaty business of making you a fitter, stronger athlete. We show you the right way to train on dry land using weights and circuits, and the indoor rower, affectionately known as the ergo. And we look at the importance of cross-training and how to improve flexibility and core stability. We follow that up with a look at the all-important question of hydration and nutrition, before looking at the mental skills, including goal setting and visualization. And the finale is our rowing masterclass, a mass of tips on race strategy and how to squeeze out that extra ounce of performance and end up rowing for Britain. And for this voyage of discovery, we have assembled the best brains and bodies from world rowing. 3 times Olympic champion, 10 times world champion, quite simply the best rower in the world, Matt Pinsent. Jürgen Grobler, arguably the best coach in the world. Chris Shambrook, international and ARA sports psychologist. International and ARA sports nutritionalist Jacqueline Boorman. Chief coach of the British junior rowing team, Pete Shepherd. GB women's coach at the Sydney Olympics, Louise Kingsley. ARA physiotherapist Heidi Bramley. Gary Herbert, 1992 gold medal winning cox and BBC commentator. World-class physiologist Gordon Burton. Under-23 world champions Debbie Flood and Frances Horton. 2-time world champion Ed Coode. And the final piece in our jigsaw, the star of the show, a man who, a year after winning an Olympic gold medal, went on to become a gold medal winning coach, Tim Foster. Two of Great Britain's most successful ever athletes picking up another title at Henley. So let's start with a $64,000 question. What do you need to be a successful rower?
I'll tell you what you need. You need to be huge. I mean, I don't mean big, I mean monster freak of nature huge. See that Matthew Pinsent bloke? You could play second row for England, no problem. Yep, I'm afraid unless you're at least 6'10" with a barrel chest and arms like a gorilla, you don't really stand a chance. Or maybe not. Tim Foster, in terms of pure dimensions, a pretty normal specimen. But Steve Redgrave said without him in their boat, they wouldn't have gone nearly as fast. So Tim, how do you do it?
I mean, for me, despite being the smallest in the crew, what I gave them was the length and the rhythm that they need. And to me, it's not about being big and strong, it's about making your boat go that little bit quicker.
And that's why we're here, simply to improve your rowing technique.
So what succinctly does the rowing stroke involve? Well, here's a man who should know.
A front-loaded, leg-driven stroke with a very strong finish. So that's how I would describe the stroke.
The technique we're talking about is an effective stroke, the principles of which are length of stroke, rhythm, timing and blade work, all of which stem from a good posture. It's about moving the boat as far as possible with each stroke with minimum effort. The whole movement is relaxed and rhythmical with no beginning and no end. Legs, body, shoulders and arms all contribute to the power. And don't forget, the core muscles are the key. And these principles are exactly the same for both rowing and sculling. The critical things to look at are the stern of the boat, it has to be running level and smoothly, your blade work, and what your body does. The rowing stroke sequence can be broken down into 4 segments: the catch, the drive, the extraction, and the recovery. But before we go any further, let's check a fundamental, your grip. You must have the right size handle which fits into the natural arc of your hand, so you're using only the base of the fingers to grip. Think of your hands as hooks, which don't squeeze but just hook over the handle. Whether sculling or rowing, you have to be relaxed. If you're hanging on for grim death, that tension will be transferred through the arms and into the back. Just as with a tennis racket or a golf club, a relaxed grip allows you to treat the blade like an extension of your arm and really feel the water. The more relaxed you are, the more control you have. To go really fast, you need to develop an effective catch. Preparation for this starts during the recovery. The points to remember are to let the boat move under you on the recovery and to arrive at the catch in a comfortable position. The aim from there is to achieve the strongest connection from the power developed by the legs to the spoons in the water. Body posture is all important. If you saw somebody lifting weights like this, you'd step in and help, or at least call the nearest osteopath. Working on flexibility and stability will help you achieve good posture. But remember, upper body movement all comes from the pelvis. That's better. In fact, there are many similarities between this power clean and the rowing stroke. Now, although a beginner rower will start at the finish learning to balance the boat, let's, like our weightlifter, begin at the catch, because this is where effective use of power and therefore speed is developed. The back is flat, the shins vertical, there is little distance between the thighs and body, and your weight is on the balls of your feet. You should have freedom to breathe and get the most power from the legs. The feeling is that of being like a coiled spring. The spoons should be square as you approach front stops. Place them in the water to where you reach with a small vertical movement of the arms. Keep the arms straight and stay relaxed. Only when the spoons are fully submerged are they locked on and ready for the drive phase. The body angle stays the same. If performed correctly, the stern remains level and the seat should be stationary for a minimum amount of time. If you take nothing else away from this program, just remember that the drive begins with the legs pushing off the stretcher and your body weight remains suspended on the handle right through the drive. Effectively, the spoons stay still and you use the legs to lever the boat past them. Start driving the legs without changing the upper body position. Just as you straighten your legs with the handles level with your knees, open up your back and draw in your arms. If you're sculling, make sure the left hand is slightly above the right when the handles overlap. Towards the end of the drive, gradually draw the arms into your body. Keep the elbows higher than your wrists. The aim is to keep the blades square for as long as possible and extract them square from the water as your thumbs touch your lycra shirt. At this point, your shoulders should be just behind your hips and your weight still suspended on the handle. Push the handle down so the spoons pop up. The key point here is to keep the hands moving at the same speed throughout the whole move. When the spoons are fully extracted, use your thumbs to start rolling the blades onto the feather. Release your fingers in a smooth, flowing action and keep your wrists as flat as possible. The recovery phase is your preparation for the next stroke. It's all about organising your movements to minimise loss of speed. The momentum you've created continues to move the boat forward, and the key is relaxation. The more relaxed you are, the more oxygenated blood can get to your muscles. The arms move smoothly away first with the spoon clear of the water, and when they're almost straight, the body pivots forward from the pelvis in a comfortable and strong position, which is maintained throughout the recovery. Your weight is now on your feet. Keep it there. You should feel your legs come up to touch the body, not the other way round. Once the hands are past the knees, start squaring the blades in preparation for the next catch. Remember, last in, first out, so use your legs last on the recovery and then first on the drive. Let's look at the whole thing in action. Here's Tim coaching Matt Langridge.
Matt here normally has a very good pick-up at the front. It's one of the reasons why he is a very fast sculler. The way he puts his spoons in at the front is very efficient, making full use of his reach. There's no point having long limbs if you don't use them and put the spoons into the water. So it's quite a relaxed pickup. There's no extra effort in there. It's a really nice demonstration of how his spoons go into the water. There's no effort, there's no energy in that placement. The shoulders, okay, they're a little bit hunched, but nice and relaxed. Posture in the lumbar spine could be a little bit better, could be sitting up stronger to help transfer the power he's producing with his legs. But actually looking at his blade work, the entry of the spoons at the front ends, that's really nice.
It's tough at the top. Former junior world champion, and still he's got room for improvement. But such is the wonder of rowing. There's always another level to aspire to. The principles of rowing and sculling, good posture, long rhythmic strokes, etc., are the same, but there are differences. Let's have a look at world Olympic champion Steve Trapmore in slow motion. The main difference is that the trunk rotates. The outside shoulder follows the arc of the end of the handle. The outside hand controls the draw of the handle, whilst the inside hand is responsible for feathering. The most successful athletes are those who do the basics best. Here's where Jürgen sees the basics of rowing being most commonly misunderstood.
I think one of the mistakes is, and you can see it, is really the coordination. When they bring the blade in, some of them, they're just starting pulling with their arms because they think, oh, that's quite, because they have a little bit of better feeling in the first movement if they put the blade in and bending the arms, but then in the same time the legs are not driving, so they get a little bit in a conflict in the middle part of the stroke because the legs are still really bended, haven't done any work.
And it's very hard to get the basics right when you're exhausted. Fitness training can be done away from the boat, so use your water sessions to improve your technique, not your fitness. The better you get, the longer you can train on the water.
There's a series of exercises the rowers can use not just to develop their general skill, feel and balance in the boat, but also to monitor their progress throughout the year. Right, Tim here has the clipboard, he has a stopwatch. The girls are on the water, over to you.
Okay, so the first exercise we do is circles, and I'm going to time how many they do in 30 seconds. Okay, girls, are you ready? Go! And as you can see, the girls then move their hands quickly around in a circle, holding onto the handles, and the idea is for them to do as many as they can in the 30 seconds. What it gives them is the idea of moving quickly and the feel for the boat and the confidence to move the hands quickly, which is what we want when they're up and racing and when they're rowing normally.
The idea here is to slap the blades alternately as many times as possible in 30 seconds. The stiller you keep the body, and the smaller the movements, the faster you can move the hands, and this is the key to good general rowing. This exercise will help develop minute muscle control, very useful for balancing the boat. The progression is to double slaps. This concentrates more on balance and it gets harder the further you move up the slide. The next drill is to see how long you can balance with the blades out of the water. It's a good test of core stability. You get 10 goes and your best time counts. You start balancing from the safe position. Fast and skillful athletes can do it well at front stops. The aim in this one is to rock the boat over until the riggers go under. You have to be relaxed and confident. Once again, it's a 30-second time trial, and I think we're witnessing a personal best here. The final balance progression, and believe me, this is difficult, is to do the same standing up. Who knows why, but girls are invariably better at this. Perhaps it's because they focus more on technique and skills and less on strength. Turn the boat round through 360 degrees as quickly as you can. It's a test of coordination and an understanding of what makes the boat move. Interestingly, those who turn round the fastest end up being the fastest in a straight line. How many strokes does it take to travel a defined distance? In this case, 500 metres. The fewer you do, the more effective your stroke. It teaches you about stroke length, about letting the boat run, and about the general feel and balance of the boat. And yes, if you think you've spotted a loophole, you've got to keep the handles moving. Then, of course, the ultimate way to test your progress is to time yourself over set distances, and this can be done either on the water or on the indoor rower. The variations include doing it at a set rate or, as we've just seen, seeing how few strokes it takes to complete a set distance. Most of these exercises can also be done in a pair, which has the instability of a single, but which also adds an element of teamwork. To see how you rank in all these exercises, check out the ARA website. Put in your results and get instant feedback.
Okay, what you get from a lot of these exercises is relaxation, is good confidence of boat handling, good technique that we can learn from some of the movements of the hands. But what we can also get is efficiency of movement. We're looking for long, powerful strokes. We're looking for good horizontal movements. What you can do by doing these exercises is develop your skills and use them to monitor your progress as you improve.
Once you've a good idea of what the complete stroke involves, there are a number of exercises and drills you can do that can help with each stage. The first one works on the catch. Over to you, Tim.
The first exercises we're going to do are actually involved with getting the oar into the water, and the idea is to get the oar into the water where you reach to, and we start talking about effective length. The first exercise is a static exercise where two of you hold it level, and it's called roll-ups. So with a nice square blade, we just come forwards on the slide and we just pop the blade in exactly where we reach to without actually pulling back on it. So it's just a timing exercise. If I demonstrate this one, just mind your spoon as I come forwards. Just come forwards there and drop it in at the front end. So it's just a simple movement. And what you do is you take the momentum from the wheels into the placement of the spoon. So there's no added energy. It's just a reaction, and it's the last part of the recovery. Okay, so if us two in the stern pair just try that, I'll follow you from my go. So once again, just finishing the recovery off with the placement. Ready, go. That's pretty good. Okay, just try a couple more. And go. Good, okay, just make sure you're keeping the timing of the front end right. Just a little fraction you are arriving there and then putting the spoon in. Just make sure we arrive with the wheels and pop the spoon in at exactly the same moment. Okay, ready, go. Good, you left me behind there. Okay, if we go to bow pair, and I'll sit and watch these. Okay, ready, go. Okay, just a little bit of a fraction of a delay out the front there, Matt. Just got there and then decided to lift the hands in. To actually place the spoon exactly where you reach to and at the timing when the wheels arrive, just need to start lifting the hands a little bit of a fraction earlier. Okay, ready, go. Good, spot on. Nice there, and hopefully you could feel the kind of timing there of the arrival with the seat and the spoon actually entering into the water, which is exactly what we want to do. We want to time the spoon with your seat so that you are reaching kind of full length and full effective length. Okay, so the exercise I'm going to try and describe and get you guys to do is called chopping, or sometimes called dipping at the front end, where we just sit at the front in good posture, good position, and we just lift the hands up to get the spoons into the water. So we're not moving backwards at any point, just lifting the hands, shoulders loose and level, and we just lift and dip the spoons into the water. And the secret, all four, is to be definite about what you do. Don't be tentative, don't be shy. Make sure it's a definite movement to cover those spoons. So whole crew, come forwards with the blades squared in the water. Ready for the chopping. Ready, go. Good, well done. Nice definite movements with the hands. Loose, slow shoulders. Okay, easy there. Okay, when you get it right, you should feel that, yeah, you're ready and you're getting hold of the water exactly where you reach to, ready to start producing the positive numbers that are going to make the boat go forwards. Okay, so the next exercise I'll suggest for timing at the front end is what I call slaps. And for me, the idea of slaps is, once again, you just roll forwards. There's a little bit of movement in the boat. You roll forwards, and rather than putting the blade in square, you roll forwards and slap the blade on the water, hence the name slaps. So it comes and it stems from the movement of the outside arm, particularly the shoulders are loose and level. It's not an exercise it's not a shoulder workout, it's a simple movement out the front, lift the hands, slap. What you get is an audible slap where you can time the noise, obviously, once again, with the movement of the wheels, the stopping of the seat. So Adam and I, stern pair here, we're going to demonstrate some slaps. If bow pair, hold it level. Okay, normal slaps, ready, go. And then we just pull through. Okay, and again. Okay, if bow pair, just hold it level. Come forwards, slap. That was a good one, that was nicely timed. And easy there. Okay, that was good timing at the front. And once again, you not only get the feel of when you get it right from the water, you also get the noise, which is another receptor that you can look at to see if you've got it right. So the idea is that you can hang your body weight off the handles, kind of ultimately getting the resistance from the spoon in the water. So what I'm after is just a bit of lifting off the seat right from the very front end. Okay, when you're ready. Lovely.
These suspensions give you the sensation of using all your body weight to leave the boat past the spoon. If the spoon was set in concrete, your weight would literally be suspended from the handle, and it's that feeling of being connected with the water that you want to achieve. This is also one you can practice on the indoor rower. Just make sure you have a coach handy to move the seat.
The next exercise is actually the start of the drive phase, and for me the start of the drive phase is a push with the legs. There's no movement in the upper body, that stays still, it's just pushing the legs. And in order to exaggerate this exercise, we're just going to do the first 2 inches of the drive, which you come out and just push, and it's just on the legs There should be no movement in the upper body itself. Okay, so we're now going to demonstrate this once again with my beautiful assistant. We're going to demonstrate just the first 2 inches on the leg drive with the bow pair holding it level. Okay, just come forwards, sit at the front, first 2 inches, ready, go. So literally sit there, shoulders loose and relaxed, sort of low and flat, and it's just on the legs. If you find yourself having to reach forwards on the recovery, it's because you've used your back during the drive. It's just on the legs. Good. Okay, now if we just go for slightly more length, so we look for the first 6 inches on the legs, go. And still it's just purely on the legs themselves. So the body angle stays exactly the same, just the legs push. For me, and in terms of technique, the first part of the drive phase for me is a push with the legs, and only the legs, holding the body and the back in one strong position. So we reach this strong position at the front end and we push with the legs, and in order to encourage that and to exaggerate it slightly, we can do what is called legs only rowing. So we put the blade in and keep the arms straight and drive like that. So hopefully my body is still rocked forwards and my arms are still straight. We can do this in pairs. You can do it all four, but it's always a good idea just to start in pairs, once again with bow pair holding it level. Okay, stern pair, straight arm rowing. Are you ready? Go. So we connect and then just push the legs, keep the body and arms straight. So literally just exaggerating that leg push so they're all the way flat.
If you start to feather the blade before you extract, you cause drag and you will slow the boat down. So by practicing paddling with square blades, i.e. without feathering, you ensure the spoon is covered for the whole length of the stroke and that it comes out vertically and therefore cleanly.
Okay, another exercise we can do in order to help us feel the boat moving beneath us, to help us feel the rhythm, is to actually take the feet out of the shoes and put them on top. We then row with the feet out, keeping contact with the foot stretcher, but obviously not relying on pulling ourselves up in the sort of from the laces of the shoes, not pulling ourselves up the slide. Basically, when we're on the recovery, when we're on the wheels, we're just letting the boat float and bring us forwards, which when the feet are out, you have to do, otherwise you end up in the lap of the man behind you. But you get the speed and you get the cues from the boat beneath you to just help you drift all the way forwards in time with the flow of the boat beneath you itself. One of the exercises we can do to help us with the feel of the boat and the rhythm of the boat is actually row with our eyes shut. So we're not relying on watching what the person in front's doing or watching what the oars are doing. We're actually having to kind of close our eyes and feel the boat move beneath us. So we can feel the rhythm, feel the run of the boat and take our cues from the boat movement. So when we're actually on the recovery and we're sliding forwards, we're looking to kind of keep the negative energy to a minimum, just float with it, with the eyes shut. We can really feel that and take us all the way forwards. Okay, so if we try that one, get ready, close your eyes shut, go.
A good crew keeps the boat at a constant level and feels it move under them. Check the stern of this quad, absolutely still. At race pace, and Matt's well above that here, it's far harder to stay level. A way to monitor yourself is of course to look at the stern, but you can also attach a straw. If the water is flowing out constantly, you're in good shape. If not, the stern is dipping and slowing the boat down. One of the main reasons for a dipping stern as people approach race pace is poor ratio. Often less experienced crews are in such a hurry to get to the next stroke that they rush the recovery, and it's when they move forward faster than the boat that their weight sinks the stern. The recovery should take longer than the drive. Here, Matt and Adam are increasing their rate by 10 strokes a minute. However, the ratio between drive and recovery remains good, so the boat stays level.
Okay, so we're going to do some inside hands down the loom, as we call it. And what we do here is we put the inside hand down onto the plastic all the way down here, so we can really emphasise the control of the outside hand. The outside hand is in control of the handle, whatever it does. The inside hand can help to pull, and it does feather, but primarily we're looking for control in this outside hand. Everyone can do this one. So sit at backstops, hand down the loom, ready, go. So outside hand at the front, and the back turn is in control, there and there. Easy.
Those are just a selection of the many drills you can use. Others include single strokes with pauses, variations in slide length, rowing with one hand only, and changes in pressure. Put all the exercises together and it can all start to flow like these top juniors.
Going into the last 500 metres now in the final of the men's heavyweight 8. We're looking at Great Britain just starting to squeeze out into first place as we go down past Tom.
You may well recognise this voice. It is indeed that of Gary Herbert, BBC rowing commentator and 1992 Olympic gold medal winning Cox. What better man to quiz? So what about these Coxes? Are they just passengers who beat out the time?
The role of the Cox is not just restricted to being in the boat. Anyone can do that, and anyone can coach in the boat. If you're going to be a good Cox and contribute to a good crew, it's what you do outside the boat as well, because it builds a team spirit. It builds that unity, that whole thing together. You're the right-hand sort of man. You're the eyes of the coach. You've got to be with the coach in the gym when the guys are doing weights. When they're on the tank or practicing on ergometers, you're there with the coach as well, and assisting them, trying to get over your technique. The coach will have an idea of the technique that he wants to instill in the crew. You're there to help them as well, and so it just widens the load, really alleviates the load that the coach has, especially if you're on 8. When I've been coxing in 8s, one guy can't coach all 8 people. He needs assistance, and a good cox will do that. What they do essentially is dictate and make sure that the race plan is got over to the crew. So it's a very important role. But apart from all of that, apart from remembering and reminding the crew of the race plan, you're part of the crew as well. So you've got to make sure you're performing over and above just telling them the race plan. You've got to read the race and get the best out of your crew and the best out of yourself. You've got to keep calm. You've got to keep focused. You've got to keep the belief in yourself and your crew that you can do it. It's a long race. Things aren't won in 1 stroke or 2 strokes. Things aren't won by the time you get to 500 metres or 1,000. It helps if you're in the chasing pack by then. But you've got to keep calm and relaxed, and you've got to be sort of wide thinking. You've got to really think about, well, how am I going to change it? Have the confidence to make the decision. You're there. You've got your instructions from your coach. Have the confidence to make a change and to read it. You've got to be able to read the race. So it's really what you do if it's not going well. You have the confidence to make a decision to change the race, keeping calm and dictating and telling your crew why you're changing, and instilling in them the confidence to go with it. I think that's the biggest thing, really.
The Great Britain rowing squad are strong and fit. That much is obvious, and we'll be looking at physical training later on. But much of their success can be put down to their use and understanding of sports science. Sports science includes physiology, nutrition, psychology and physiotherapy. You may get a little out of breath rowing, but before we look at the essential business of getting fitter through dryland training, perhaps it's worth understanding exactly what rowing involves.
If you really want to prepare yourself physically for rowing, you could do a lot worse than find yourself a sports physiologist like Gordon Burton. Gordon, exactly what demands does rowing make on the body?
Well, rowing is probably one of the most physically demanding sports that you could choose, and there are 4 main areas really that will build into your performance. First of those is aerobic capacity, or endurance capacity as a lot of people call it. That will be the mainstay of your performance. Following that, you need a really good anaerobic power. That will help you off the start, help you to accelerate a boat, try and overtake some opposition. As well as that, we need really good strength. That's not only strength in the arms, as a lot of people think, but also to be able to press with the legs. 70% of the power in rowing comes from the legs. And also the strength deep within in the core of the body to hold the position and hold the connection between the power of those legs and actually getting some work near the water through the oar. Also, we need really good flexibility so that we can get ourselves into the positions for a good technical rowing stroke, as we've seen in the rest of the film.
I'm an amateur rower, I can't do this all the time. Maybe I get to the gym twice a week, so what sort of training should I be doing?
Okay, well obviously you'll be getting out on the water as well, but when you do go to the gym, because you've got a limited number of sessions, it's probably good to try and almost compromise the sessions and get both a strength development effect and also an endurance effect. So an endurance circuit using weights around the gym would be probably very useful for you, and to do that twice a week would be really good.
So if I'm on the machines, what sort of reps should I be doing?
You perhaps might do a minute of a weight that you can easily lift for, say, 1 minute and 10 seconds. So you might do a test around the gym. You could lift a weight for 1 minute and 10 seconds, and you'll set that as what you do for 1 minute, and you move on to the next exercise.
So what are the principles of land training?
If you talk about training, that is a key part for success, no question. But training means also not 24 hours a day, you know, and okay, more helps more. I think it has to be in the right balance of intensity training, endurance training, speed training, weight training. So I think that's quite an important part. So you can't go always flat out and sweating very much and okay, oh, I have done a good training. I think you have to balance the training very hard, and it's important as well. Rest is an important part of the training. So I think it's not just training 5 hours in one go, but the rest in between those sessions is quite important, so the body can recover and can take the new workload again. So I think, and so far, training is the most crucial thing, and the most mistakes being made in training. I think, yeah, you can kill a crew overnight if you do the wrong training.
Well, there's a lot more to land training than sitting for hours on an indoor rowing machine. During the autumn, you should work on developing overall stamina, suppleness and weightlifting technique. In the winter, the endurance work should be at a higher intensity and specific to rowing muscles. And strength training should be a mixture of both maximum and endurance. But it's pointless developing strength in the winter unless you work to maintain it during the summer speed period. So land training needs to encompass exercises which are specific to rowing and others which build general endurance. And general endurance training includes running, cycling, swimming, aerobics and circuits. Here's an endurance circuit being run by Pete Shepherd, the chief coach of the ARA Great Britain Junior Squad. Each exercise, which typically lasts a minute, works a slightly different muscle group. But the main aim is to keep the heart rate within a range of 130 to 160 beats per minute. Over the winter, you'd build up to doing an hour of this sort of exercise as part of a planned programme. This is the circuit Peter has made up, which exercises arms, legs and trunk.
Right, 30 squat jumps, right? Make sure we land on our feet before we go down on the next one. Don't just go straight down. Nice control going down onto when you squat down so you don't collapse. Okay, and then a big drive out as high as you can each time. Okay, ready? Go. All right, let's see, drive harder. Right out. Let's see how high you can get off the floor this time. Keep the back nice and strong, keep the body in a nice strong position. Right up each one. Just touch the bench, keep the shoulders on the bench. So just using those arms to draw through. Just think of it being like drawing the finish in the boat. Okay, good. Okay, right. Good control. Right, just drawing yourself up. Keep the legs nice and still. Hold for a fraction, then down again. Okay, and up. Hold. It's good. And down. Go. Right, push right up. Just try and drive. Once you start the drive, just push it a little quicker. That second half of the drive. See if you can push it a little quicker. That's it. Right, real push. And right up. Go. Good. Full range of motion, right up with the arms, right, so we make sure we use the muscles, the arm muscles over the full range. Okay, make sure we're breathing in between each repetition. Good. Let's go up a bit further, that's it. So we go, so as if we've got the whole body and legs straight. Good. Keep the control going down.
Make sure you obey the gym safety code, and one of the main points is that you should wear appropriate clothing, including trainers. To train the muscle group specific for rowing, the indoor rower is very useful, so long as you row technically well and maintain good posture. Don't row for more than 30 minutes without getting off and stretching. One of the most rowing-specific exercises is the power clean. It can be used for both endurance and maximum strength training. The technique is much the same as the rowing stroke. You start by driving the legs, the back opens, and you finish off with the arms. The power clean must always be performed under the supervision of an appropriately qualified coach. After warming up, there are 4 positions to master, and remember, never do weights on your own. Start with the toes under the bar and the feet shoulder width and hands outside the knees. Pivot from your hips with the back flat and then bend down from the knees so your shoulders are above or slightly in front of the bar. Keep the eyes level, but try to avoid bringing the neck back quite as much as demonstrated here. Like being in a boat, the drive begins by a huge explosion from the legs. At this stage, nothing else moves. Keep driving from the toes as the bar passes the knees and shrug the shoulders. You can see this athlete has adopted the start position once again. There's a big explosion from the legs and the bar is kept close to the body with the elbows above the bar. As the bar comes up, whip the elbows away from you to catch the bar in front of the shoulders. Now check the elbows. They're held high and at 90 degrees from the bar. You can learn weightlifting technique at any age, but developing strength should only begin after you've reached physical maturity, and this varies from person to person. Remember that land training can take many forms, and if organised correctly, can be great fun.
They say you are what you eat, in which case many rowers, especially the younger variety, will be beef burgers on legs. Now, you don't put paraffin in a Ferrari, so if you do want to become a performance rower, you've got to watch what you put in the old petrol tank. And we've got the ARA's nutrition expert on hand to first of all analyse what I bought here, then to tell us what foods you need to boost your performance.
That's £130.32, please.
Very reasonable. Jacqueline, now I've been shopping.
Right.
I'm going to preempt you. I know a bit about this sort of stuff, and I've got the good and the bad. The bad, yeah. And of course, much better stuff.
The good.
What do you think?
Well, I don't like the way you're saying good and bad. There's no such food as good food and bad food. There's things called good diets and bad diets, so I think we need to look at the balance.
So what do we need?
Okay, well, let's think about what rowers need. What do rowers need? They need energy. And where are they going to get their energy from?
Carbohydrate.
Good.
I mean, that's why I have stuffed this bag full of pasta.
Okay. Pasta's good, but you've got to think of other carbohydrates as well, such as bagels and bread, breakfast cereal, rice, couscous. That's all good stuff too. But it's not just about providing lots of energy. That is important, but you've got to think of the whole body. What else does a rower need?
Protein.
Okay. All right, now here we've got some Some protein-rich food like chicken, very good source of iron and very important for growing bodies. And what's this?
Veggies, which I have none of in here.
You have no vegetables, so I've provided you with some vegetables. So on that plate, you're going to put your pasta or your potatoes, as well as the meat such as chicken and the vegetables.
So, okay, now I have got this bag full of sweet stuff, so that's completely out, is it?
No, as I said, there's no such thing as good or bad. But these foods, like perhaps the donut, perhaps the Jaffa cakes, they could be quite useful in terms of providing extra carbohydrate from a sugary source, as long as you keep it in moderation. They're also quite useful for things, a choice of food to refuel. So after training, you could choose something like, some Jaffa cakes, or maybe malt loaf.
Got a malt loaf in here,
yeah, you've got a malt loaf, you've got bagel, you've got a milkshake, some cereal and milk.
Now, the way I refuel after training is with a bit of this. Now, is this going to ruin me as an athlete?
It will ruin you as an athlete if you have to train the next day or you have to recover quickly. It will also encourage you to put on weight, put on fat, which I don't think is what you want. Also, it's bad for hydration. It will dehydrate you. So wait until you're finished and then you can celebrate.
Well, it seems, folks, you won't get a chance to celebrate unless you eat properly. So it is true, you are what you eat.
Very quickly, and when they suddenly get
Staying hydrated is crucial. If you're thirsty, it's already too late. You're dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, the blood thickens, the heart has to pump harder to deliver oxygen to the muscles, and the effect is dramatic. A 5% loss in fluid can lead to a 20% drop in performance. For the average adult, that 5% loss relates to about 6 cans of water. The fitter you are, the leaner your muscle and the more water you need. During an hour's hard exercise, you'll lose up to 4 pints of water. The most effective way to take on that liquid is a little and often.
Well, I think it's a really useful thing to look at psychology as you would physical fitness. Most people know how important it is to be physically fit to perform to their potential. The mind is exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, your mind and how you think controls what your body does. So it seems sensible to try and develop mental fitness as well as physical fitness. So we would say don't wait for your confidence to drop or something to go wrong with the way that you're thinking before you think, psychology's for me. Actually think ahead of time and say, right, how can I make my mind stronger? How can I make it fitter to endure the various things that I have to when I'm training and, more importantly, performing?
For many, the whole process of getting better and fitter is made easier by setting small, realistic goals as a way of chipping away at a bigger target.
I think one of the key good things about goal setting is that it's a really easy area where you can find out information very, very quickly. There's a lot of good self-help sports psychology books which have a lot of the basics about goal setting covered very effectively. So that's easy information to access. You don't need to have a sports psychologist with you to find out about that particular area. And then it's a case of a bit of trial and error to work out how that works best for you. So, and also with visualization, a lot of good advice in some general textbooks about just exactly how to go about it. And the important thing with all of this is individualise it as quickly as possible. Find out what works for you with a bit of experimentation. Don't think just by thinking like Matthew Pinsent, I'm going to be a world champion, because obviously you've got to have the physical base, the technical base, and also have worked out how your mind works for you in order for everything to fall into place. So individualise is critical.
Apart from fitness training, how else can psychology help you go faster?
One of the sort of key simple areas where psychology can really help is with athletes when they're developing their technique. There's an awful lot of information to try and take in when they're trying to very minutely change what they're doing. What can happen is you can be left with the thought of, okay, right, I mustn't do that at the catch, or I must really make sure that doesn't happen at the finish. In fact, that's not a very positive instruction for the mind. The mind is more interested in, well, what do you want me to do? What is the specific instruction that you do want me to focus on and keep remembering, so that the new technical thoughts that I'm trying to work on really get ingrained into the computer program, if you like, that is running that new technique which you're trying to achieve. So if anything, people should be thinking about what they are wanting to try and achieve rather than avoid something bad happening. And that works very effectively for all areas of rowing as well.
Okay, we finished second in the heat, 6 crews in your race.
Where the role of positive thinking is immediately influential is during a pre-race briefing and the race itself. The message the coach leaves with the crew determines not only the race strategy but also the mood of the crew and the levels of confidence and self-belief of the team and the individuals.
Really good winter training behind you. You've got a very good endurance base. You've shown in your past races you can win from both leading from the front, but you've also shown, if you think back to the racing 2 weeks ago, that you were ahead, you got rode through, but you came back strong.
So, what are the most important muscles for a rower to produce his power?
No, you won't catch me out here because it's not your arms, is it? It's legs.
Legs, yep, they're big and strong, but for me, it's about posture and core stability.
Core stability.
Don't ask me. The person you want to speak to is one of our international physios, Heidi.
Core stability is about being able to maintain a stable core or trunk. Because you're sitting on an unstable surface, like this ball, when you're in a boat, you need to be able to maintain a stable core or trunk to allow the legs to work efficiently. Equally, you need to be able to maintain a stable shoulder blade to allow the arms to hook on efficiently. We have several exercises which allows us to help with this.
To develop core stability, it's important to find what the physios refer to as your neutral spine, which is the mid-position between the back arching and being pressed into the floor. You can achieve neutral spine when lying on your back on the floor or by making a bridge with a ball. In order to maintain neutral spine during exercises, you need to use and to strengthen your trunk stabilizers. The correct way to stretch your hamstrings is to find and maintain neutral spine, move your thigh to 90 degrees, and then extend your lower leg. The aim here is to keep the weight evenly spread over your bottom whilst doing this side stretch. To do so, you have to use many of the muscle groups that stabilise your trunk and so improve your core stability. Whatever stretch you do, ensure that you find and maintain neutral spine and that you hold the stretch for at least 15 seconds. Remember the 5 S's? Well, yes, it's the combination of strength, stamina, suppleness, speed and skill that makes you go fast. But where do you get that extra ounce of performance that'll take you past your rivals? Well, perhaps you'll glean some inspiration from our experts.
It should be really fit, no question. It's going over 2,000 meters and needs a very fit athlete. Secondly, it has to have the skills technically to bring all the fitness over in speed, and I think the technique and so far becomes quite a crucial part. It's not just power, it's also the skills to deal with the environment you are in, like the boat and the water, to transfer your fitness in speed. And I think that's just not quite as easy, I think, and so far that is quite a crucial part, especially now in high performance sport.
Well, lots of different things. I mean, I think you need the God-given things like long arms and long legs help, a big heart, and then that's in both senses of the word. You need a really big pump for your blood, because obviously the rowing's a very physical exercise. But on the other side of that, you also need the big heart in the sense of you need to be brave. You need to have mental toughness when it comes to racing.
Well, the technique is about limiting the negative numbers. We can all pull hard, or we can try and pull hard, but when it comes down to being on the water, it's about who can be efficient with that power, and the speed is a combination of the positives we can push ourselves, and the negatives we can try and get out and actually get the boat to do some work for us. So it's probably about 50% physical and a 50% technical.
There's a big difference between the ergo and the rowing boat. There's a lot of technique involved and balance, especially in single. Although from the ergo you can practice your technique and the rowing stroke, there's a lot of technique involved in the rowing boat.
What made James Cracknell a good rower? Well, as a youngster, he was particularly in his sort of final 2 years as a junior, he was extremely determined, and he was prepared to do that little bit extra to make it happen. And he was determined to achieve the highest goals, basically.
I think the body-wise isn't so important. I think definitely, it's the mind which creates the rower. And mentally, there are a range of different personalities who are good rowers, but they all have, they're all very determined, I think you have to be very clear on what your goals are, and at the end of the day, I think you have to make, like any high-level sport, you have to be prepared to make sacrifices. I think, you know, if you're prepared to make the sacrifice to achieve your goals, then anything's possible.
One of the unique features of rowing is that it involves a diverse range of boat types, singles through to eights. In a large crew boat like an 8, athletes are often placed in seats representing their individual attributes. The front of the boat moves around, so bow and two need to be technically very skillful. The most powerful athletes take up the middle positions, 3, 4 and 5. Athletes at 6 and 7 link the powerhouse to the person with the best rhythm who leads the boat from the stroke seat. And the cox is coach, tactician and motivator. People of all sizes have a place in the boat. Tall people may seem to have a natural advantage, but only if they use their length effectively.
We are definitely completely different ends of the scale, completely different sizes. I'm very tall and Debbie's slightly shorter. But when we were juniors, we did have to make a lot of compensations with boat and equipment, but now we row very, very similar arcs, and Debbie bizarrely rows extremely long, so I can't keep up with her.
You'd never dream of playing football in boots that were 2 sizes too small, so nor should you consider going out in a boat that was too small or badly rigged. It's important to try and get your boat correctly adjusted, so here are some tips. In singles, pairs, doubles and fours, you should aim to complete 2/3 of the stroke forward of the orthogonal, and that's where the looms are at 90 degrees to the boat, and 1/3 behind. If you can do this, then your stretch position is good. In sculling, make sure you can get 1 to 1.5 hand width space between the handles at the finish position. Move the stretcher position if the measurement is incorrect. If you've run out of adjustment on the foot stretcher to get the correct number of hand widths, measure your overlap at the orthogonal. If you can't reach past the forestay of the rigger at the catch, your overlap is probably too large. In boats that move faster, such as coxless quads and 8s, adjust your feet slightly further towards the stern so that more of the stroke is taken before the orthogonal. If you can get your shins vertical at the catch position and your legs flat at the finish position, your stretcher height and angle are correct. You can be strong, fit, skillful and a well-trained team. But if on race day you don't have a clear strategy covering all possibilities, you're going nowhere. So let's listen to ARA Great Britain Olympic coach Louise Kingsley preparing a club crew for a race.
To our race plan. We need to arrive on the start 5 minutes before our race time. As you come onto the start, back down, get yourself settled, make sure you're straight. Sit there, relax, deep breathing, cool, calm, collected. It's not about your opposition, it's about you, how you race and how you raise your game. Off the start, when we're out of the blocks, the first 4 strokes focus on finishes. So you send it, get the boat moving. Don't try and hit the catches, just place and send it. First 4, send. As we start to lengthen out, think catch. As the catches lengthen, we want to get that boat increasing in speed. Every stroke, faster, till we get out to full length. Through the 250, we're looking for consistency. Okay, every stroke, we've got our length, we're going to find consistency in our rhythm. So we hit into our racing rhythm, 1 stroke at a time. 1,000 metres, big push. Okay, this is where we know we're strong. So we're going to make our move 1,000 metres onwards. So at the 1,000, we're going to think sharp catches. So we're going to lock on where we reach, no slippage, in, and really attack for 10 strokes and then find that sharp rhythm.
So many things have to be taken into account. There's the weather, the water conditions, the number of crews, and also the importance of the occasion. Your approach, for example, may be slightly different from a club regatta to, say, an Olympic final. Well, Matt Pinsent has had experience of both.
The Olympics is obviously
more pressure than anything else we do. So part of your tactics has got to take into account that. You're not going to try anything that you haven't tried before. It's very important that the bigger race you go, you don't suddenly lose the plot, you don't suddenly try and do something that you've never raced at before. And so very much you try and build in a plan that you've tried before, that you're used to, that you're comfortable, that hopefully you've won races with before.
And tactics may vary considerably depending on whether you're in a 2 or a 6-lane race.
Well, 6-lane racing, obviously there's lots more opposition to worry about, so you've got to cater for a lot more eventualities, I think. It's no good in 6-lane racing just saying, right, well, we think this boat next door to us is going to be the quickest, so we're going to hang on to them, or we're going to try and race them, because something might happen in an outside lane that you maybe haven't noticed. I think you need a more flexible plan when it comes to 6-lane racing, because the chances of something happening surprising from those 6 boats is very high. In a 6-lane race, there's probably 2 or 3 boats in there that aren't expecting to win, and that makes a different tactical race, because they might start very fast, for instance. They might try and throw a spanner in the race plan of everyone else by just saying, right, well, we're just going to go for it. In 2-lane racing, I think it's a bit more predictable. It's certainly more psychological, because it's match racing. Once the race is lost or won, the gaps tend to open up very quickly. There isn't really a silver medal to fight for, or of course not a bronze. It's winner takes all. So it's very important to cross the line first, and nothing else matters. But because of that, I think it makes it a bit more predictable. You have a fairer idea of what's going to happen. You perhaps know a little bit more about the opposition. You might spend a little bit more time assessing what they're going to do at different parts of the course. And so match racing, it can be a little bit more predictable, but no less fun for that.
Rowing is low impact and non-contact most of the time, so the risk of injury is far less than in many other sports. However, it does happen, and when it does, you have to deal with it both physically and psychologically. Let's hear from a currently crocked Ed Cood on how to cope.
There are always pressures to carry on rowing when you're injured, because rowing is a crew sport, you do feel like you're letting down your crewmates and your coaches. But I think the most important thing initially about injuries is to give them a bit of respect and make sure you get your injuries better before you can carry on rowing. So at the moment I have to say, sure, I'd love to be training, I would love to be racing here today, because that is why I row, is for the racing.
See, Matthew, to win a gold medal, you've got to be so dedicated. There just can't be room for anything else in your life. I mean, how do you balance it?
Well, I'm getting married in October, so managed to find time to find someone to spend the rest of my life with. But rowing is a huge part of my life, but it's not all my life, and I think that's an important message as well. Is you shouldn't dedicate yourself just to one thing. However important it is, however good you might be, there's definitely room, and it's important to have space around rowing, for other things.
I think the important thing is that people don't over-focus at a young age of sort of 14 or 15, but look after the family side of it, the friends, the social side, the schooling, the academic qualifications that they have to achieve, and the other activities in their lives, like their rugby, their football, their netball, their music, and make sure that it's a healthy balance of all those activities.
Well, I've been at university for the last 2 years, so I've been doing a degree course there at Reading University. We still get time in the evenings to go out with our friends, go out for meals, cinema, whatever. Although, it's obviously important that we get enough sleep and rest and recovery as well. There are times we have a day off that we can go and do things in. I'm quite active in our local church and at the university and the Christian Union, so we do have spare time. It's just a case of organising yourself so you can fit in the things that you want to do.
The important thing for a junior is that they develop their training over a period of years, that when they're sort of 13, 14, that they do sort of 2-3 sessions a week, and if they're aspiring to be sort of junior internationals, by the time they get to 17, 18, then they've got to be able to do sort of up to 10 sessions a week. But it needs to be done as in a progressive stage, you know, not all at once. And it's important that they have fun doing it, and that they make sure that it's a healthy balance of water training, developing skills, and making sure that, you know, with some land training that's mixed in with some land training, and that, you know, it comes a bit. You do a bit more as you go, as you get a bit older, and we want our youngsters in the sport for a long time, basically.
I mean, for me, it's the love of the sport. I mean, I've been involved for 16 years, and I just love rowing. The reason I do it isn't necessarily for the financial rewards. You're not going to be rich and famous necessarily, and unless you become Steve Redgrave, and that takes 5 Olympic gold medals. But it's just the fact that you're going to go out on the river and you can enjoy your time there, or you can take it up to be more serious and go international. And it takes me around the world. I've got to go to South America, I've got to go to Africa, I've got to go all around Europe with my rowing, and it's fantastic. It's a great life, and yeah, it stops me getting a proper job.
The ultimate dream for any athlete is to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games. Rowing is arguably Britain's most successful sport. You can represent Great Britain at junior, under-23 or senior level by being selected at open trials. And the ARA World Class Start programme aims to find and develop outstanding new talent. For further information, check out the ARA website.
There's more to this rowing art than meets the eye. You've got to get your food right, you've got to get your land training right, you've got to get your technique right, and you've got to sort out your head. And only then you may end up as more than a face in the crowd.